As we have seen, infectious diseases are still very much with us. They'll continue to challenge our ingenuity and our lives as long as microbes inhabit the world. Microbes will continue to invade our bodies, mutate to adapt to their new environments, become drug resistant, damage the host, and multiply. Yet infectious diseases are no longer the leading cause of death in the U.S. and the developed world. Today, it's chronic diseases that are the leading cause of death, with heart disease and cancer at the top of the list. While we all have to die, it's the goal of public health and medicine to prevent premature or early death and disability. Prevention of a problem is best assisted by identification of a cause. Unlike an infectious disease, which can usually be traced to a single pathogen, a chronic disease usually has multiple causes that unfold over time. For cardiovascular disease, which includes heart disease and stroke, there are a number of well-known risk factors that increase a person's likelihood of getting the disease. High cholesterol and other fats in the blood, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, genetic history, and smoking. Note that risk factors can be either conditions, such as high cholesterol, or behaviors, such as smoking. To reduce cardiovascular risk factors, public health recommendations include diets lower in dairy, meat, processed foods, sodium, and calories in general. Diets that include fish high in omega-3 fatty acids but low in mercury, as well as fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, regular exercise, no smoking, and moderate to low consumption of alcohol. Cholesterol-lowering drugs called statins are often prescribed for people whose cholesterol level hasn't responded to healthier behaviors alone. Cancer is much more complex in that it appears to be not one, but many diseases. Breast cancer, colon cancer, skin cancer, lung cancer, and leukemia each have their own risk factors, cellular appearance under a microscope, and respond differently to different treatments. What all cancers have in common, though, is this: the DNA that regulates growth and differentiation in a normal gene mutates and begins a battle that can lead to a cellular revolution in the body. Because the control mechanism is disrupted, our own mutated cells divide and replicate more rapidly and lead to increasingly more mutations. Often, though not always, abnormal cells grow into a tumor, blood vessels grow to feed the tumor, and the renegade cell metastasizes, which means they detach from the tumor, travel, and anchor in distant parts of the body to wreak havoc there. Historically, and even today, surgery has been the leading medical treatment for advanced tumors. As the logic goes, if you cut out the tumor, you cut out the cancer. While this may be true if the cancer is localized, it is not true if the cancer has already metastasized. Radiation and chemotherapy are other imperfect medical treatments for advanced cancer. Both kill both good as well as bad cells, and renegade cells can still lurk in the system. The public health approach to cancer involves widespread early intervention through screenings such as pap smears, mammograms, prostate exams, colonoscopies, and visits to the dermatologist to identify unusual skin growths. Primary prevention in public health also involves preventing human exposure to agents that cause mutations. For example, radiation is known to cause mutations, so people are advised to wear sunscreen and avoid excessive exposure to UV rays at tanning booths and from sunlight. Also, since a third of cancer deaths in the U.S. are a result of tobacco use, people are advised to quit smoking, or better yet, to never begin. Finally, another method of primary prevention involves vaccination. The hepatitis B vaccination is recommended for all children to prevent chronic infection, which can lead to liver cancer. HPV vaccination is recommended for all girls before they become sexually active to protect against the human papillomavirus and prevent cervical cancer. While prevention might seem easy enough, prevention behaviors that are not written into law are voluntary. Public health efforts educate the public, incentivize people to want to engage in healthy behaviors, and provide those willing to do so with programs and access so they can be and remain healthy. On the cutting edge of biomedical science, new revelations about the role of genes in causing chronic disease, namely cancer, raise excitement, but also caution. As biomedical and genetic research proceed, scientists are learning how to sequence the DNA of a tumor and how to target specific cancer cells for therapy. There are also laboratory experiments underway in gene therapy, which involves swapping out good genes for bad ones. Gene therapy is a slippery slope, however, and fraught with ethical concerns. Dilemmas revolve around humans playing with the very ingredients of life. Who decides what genetic changes to make, and what happens when there are negative and maybe permanent unintended consequences? Some cancers, those caused by chemicals, viruses, and radiation, might be preventable, but other cancers are random errors in the natural copying of our genes, the very mechanism of life itself. Siddhartha Mukherjee, physician and winner of the Pulitzer Prize for his book, The Emperor of All Maladies, A Biography of Cancer, says this: "Cancer is a flaw in our growth, but this flaw is deeply entrenched in ourselves. We can rid ourselves of cancer only as much as we can rid ourselves of the processes in our physiology that depend on growth, aging, regeneration, healing, and reproduction. Public health and medical science and research help to prevent premature death and disability as a result of cancer, and they may continue to further extend human life. But it appears that we are genetically coded, if other diseases or injuries don't kill us first, to finally face cancer as the logical conclusion of the human life cycle."